So I am discussing acting songs by David Brunetti, pages 45 through like 59, I think. So the first section of these pages was about the rhythm. And he talks about, my notes are here. He talks about stepping into the rhythm and speaking the song at its natural pace. So if I were learning a song, say, "There Are Worse Things I Can Do" from Grease, I would just talk through the words and without singing them, without anything else, and just talk through the words at the rhythm of the song. So I would just talk it as if I was singing it. So I would say, "There are worse things I could do to go with a boy, or to, even though the neighborhood thinks I'm trashy and no good, I suppose it could be true, but there are worse things I could do." So like, I think that's right. I'm not really sure, but that's how I imagine it going in my head. And it probably still was a little wrong because I was kind of low-key singing it a little bit. Oh, I thought it was cute that he said, "You'll probably feel ridiculous and hope the neighbors can't hear you," because that's exactly how I just felt when I just did it. A lot of the times in songs there can be like random spaces, which that's true. And for me, especially because I've been singing for a minute, or like I've been in a couple musicals too, the weird spaces in songs I never really know what to do with. And so this kind of helped me a lot reading this. But it was just saying, imagine your partner being there in that space, or imagine something actually happening in that space, even though there's just music playing. You can't just stand there, so just imagine something's actually happening to you in this space and act accordingly. In the next part of the reading, he talks about like pitches and the melody of the song. That's what it was, the melody of the song, which is the part that of course most people would identify with, the melody. But I liked that he talks about the fact that people in everyday life, when they speak, naturally change pitch and speak higher when there are higher charged conversations. And he talks about how the emotions of the situation will change the pitch of how you're talking, which is really interesting when you think about it. And if you think about it all the time, it would probably drive you crazy if you're talking to people, but I can see how that would be really helpful in acting a song. I also thought it was cool that he says we can't sing the notes that we probably hit in everyday conversation. So if I get mad at somebody, I'm like, "Oh my God," and then I'm just talking really high, we probably I can't hit those notes if I'm singing, which is crazy. But it made sense what he said next when he says the limited sense of your own potential can get in your way. And really, that's a life lesson just in general, because I'm pretty sure that people get in their own heads all the time with regular stuff in regular life and still get in their own way of succeeding and reaching their full potential. So I can definitely see how that works in this situation. In the reading, he says that you have to be ready to act accordingly with the songs, or be more expressive with song, because even if in your everyday life you aren't, because of the way that emotions work in a song and how emotions really propel the song and propel the action of the song. So you have to be ready to be over dramatic and expressive in a song while also, being more naturalistic and realistic with it. So I can see how that would be a little confusing, but also really helpful. What I thought was crazy and really conflicting for like other advice or other information I've been given was to not elevate your diction in a song, like in your language, which I think is crazy because, well, me coming from a choral background, I've always had to enunciate every letter, every T, every D, every F, every letter had to be heard, had to be 100% there. But it makes sense that when acting a song in musical theater, that's not how we usually speak. That's not how we speak every day. If I speak every day, I'm just talking like this. You don't hear any of the T's I'm saying, any of the D's, any of the F's, the G's. But if I'm singing a song, if I were to randomly start overpronouncing every word, it would kind of take away from the emotion of the song, the story of the song, everything. So that makes sense. Of course, you would have to do it to some degree so that they know what you're saying, so that people understand you. But not overdoing it like I've been taught, because it'll take away from everything else in the song. Another tip that I have gotten before, but I haven't really applied as much, which I should probably do, was singing the words, or singing the song without the words and just adding the emotion, and singing a song on la or da or whatever syllable you choose, but singing that song with just that syllable, because it'll take your head out of it, take you thinking about the words so much out of it, and focus more so on the emotion, and then go back and sing the song with the words, applying the emotion you just applied, and everything should come together, which sounds like a really great technique, and I should really try it. The last part of the text was about gestures and about movements. So in the text, he says that you shouldn't pre-plan your movement, especially because you wouldn't pre-plan your movement in life. Now, some of us think through our everyday conversations with people because we have a little tinge of social anxiety. So, whenever we talk to people, we've already laid out the whole conversation in our heads. We've figured out how we're going to put our hands, how we're going to... But apparently this isn't something that you should do when acting a song or when preparing to act a song, especially because you'll be so focused on trying to make those pre-planned gestures happen that you lose the emotion, you lose the storyline, you lose the connection, because you're so focused on the mechanical movements that you've been doing every time you sing the song. And it loses its purpose. Why are you moving? You don't even know anymore, because I've pre-planned this and I just know to move my hand when I sing but. I'm going to say but. If you don't know what to do when singing your song, the text says that you should put more emphasis on your preparation, which makes sense, because if you spend more time with the text and spend more time preparing and getting emotionally involved into the text, then naturally you'll know when to move or what to do or how to move when singing the song. So it makes sense that if you put more preparation into your text, you'll be able to move in, a better way, a more natural way. The text says that blocking is okay, and to not preset your movements like we just said, but to kind of go through and make intentional movement, and then to continue to make the same intentional movement every time you do it. That's okay, but you have to remember to put your emotion and put your life into, and your purpose into, the movements that you're making. Another part of this section was talking about where to look, like in the audience. And it said that if you're on stage alone, like doing a monologue or something like that, then you are to look out. You are to face front if you're singing alone, basically. If you're singing to someone, you're supposed to find every excuse or every opportunity to make contact with them, but not like excessively where it's unnatural, but to propel the conversation, to bring the audience into your imaginary world. The last little thing I got from the text, which I thought was really funny, was not to look directly into the audience, because they aren't trained actors. They aren't trained to, enter your world when you invite them in. They're just trained to sit there and look at you and watch the show. So it can be a little awkward or a little, uncomfortable if you as an actor are staring at them like this while you're singing. And that just, I'm pretty sure if I was in an audience and the actor was doing that, I would be a little crazy here. But obviously that would make anyone uncomfortable, even though in class, my acting class that I took 2 semesters ago, that was actually an exercise we had where we had to sit there and stare at each other. And at first it was very, very uncomfortable for me. It was something I never wanted to do again. But the more we did it in class, now I can stare somebody down at any time and just feel fine and make them feel uncomfortable. And it's actually quite amusing for me. So that was the last little pieces of advice that he gave us. So in the text was not to stare directly at the audience unless you're asked to. So yeah, that was pages 45 to 59, I think, of acting songs. And yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed me talking about it. Okay, bye.